Welcome to TLJ, Tonterías Las Justas, your weekly dose of common sense to live better. Express sessions less than 15 minutes, discussing sex, money, spirituality, relationships, and some current events. Very practical and not politically correct. Based on listener suggestions, today we'll talk about those people that make life impossible. You know who they are. You may not be able to articulate all that they do or their strategies. All that you know is how you feel afterwards drained, sometimes depressed, all in all, worse off than before you saw them. We all have had one in our lives, whether at work or in personal circles. The most challenging to navigate can be families. Toxic people come in many shades and sizes. Their techniques are varied, and the factors that lead to their behavior are even more complex. Regardless, it is important to distinguish the types that you're encountering. We will cover two concretely. So let's define a toxic person as one that uses a series of tools for personal gain at the expense of another. These can be emotional, material, social, and psychological. Their aim is to exploit for personal satisfaction and benefit. Some common characteristics are egocentric, victim mentality, lack of personal responsibility, temperamental, manipulating, draining, deceitful, and the list goes on. As a general indicator of a toxic person is to see how you feel around them. What is their effect on you? Let's clarify a couple of elements. Every person on the face of the planet has a dark side. If you think you don't, or someone you admire doesn't, it only means that you haven't dug enough. Having a dark side doesn't mean anything in and of itself, but rather how you manage your own darkness and your awareness of it is the key. Other things to keep in mind. Here's a distinction of the two types. There are toxic people that are simply lacking proper emotional intelligence education or a context that forces them to modify their behavior. Regarding social education, we all play a role in putting these people in their place to indicate that they cannot treat us or others in the manner that they do. Moreover, there are people that are pathological in their behavior. This requires a diagnosis of a trained professional to create a treatment plan, and the most important and difficult part, a willing patient. Since we cannot force anyone to go see a professional, it is helpful to distinguish between education and something a bit more cemented. Common cases are narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, which can include psychopathy and sociopathy. According to Dr. Durvasula, she estimates that more than 30% of North Americans fall somewhere on the narcissistic personality spectrum. As with everything, where on the spectrum is very important. Narcissists are generally made, that is, they are shaped by their context and circumstances. That being said, it is a personality type that rarely seeks help. For more on narcissists, see the show notes for some recommended research. So, how can you manage these characters? Clearly, the context that you share with the person is important, as it can dictate some of the options available. However, whether in family, at work, or with friends, these tips can help you gain ground in the situation while you get more experience. 1. Identify the patterns. Whatever the style of toxic person you're dealing with, there is a pattern to the madness. Are they charming at the start and turn into tyrants over time? Do they strike up a fight when they are no longer the protagonist? Do they lash out in anger when someone has a different opinion to theirs? Do they lie continuously to save face? Is there always something wrong in their lives? Whatever the particular behavior, there is a pattern. If there weren't a pattern, it would simply be the case of any normal person having a bad day or going through a rut. Understanding the pattern will help you to better navigate the toxic waters. 2. Set your boundaries. This is a good reminder regardless of the relationship and situation. What are your red lines? What do you understand as respect? For toxic people, it is important to not give them more information about you that can later be manipulated for their benefit and your detriment. Keep things that you deem private to yourself. Also, if you seem to attract this type of person, do some reflection to shed some light on your own patterns that are leaving the door open to these types of characters. 3, speak your truth. We all socially groom each other. This is no exception for toxic people. Put the brakes on their behavior by calling them out. Do it tactfully and in the same way that you wish someone would do it to you. Not providing feedback on unacceptable behavior is a disservice to everyone, starting with you. And 4, distance. Hopefully, the toxic person in your life isn't a spouse or a parent, but it can happen. At the end of the day, the best plan of action will be to leave room between you and this person. This way of relating, their way of relating to others, is not in your best interest, and you sticking around to reinforce their patterns is mutually harmful. There's one final question that you must ask. Is this me? It's possible that you are an egocentrical SOB that leaves ashes wherever you go. If this is you, I hope you have a clear intention to change. If that is not the case, please limit your interaction with people to not do more harm than what you've already done. The reasons for your behavior are irrelevant. The question is what you're going to do moving forward. If you think that continuing as you have can be sustained in time, think again. The most likely scenario is that you'll find yourself alone sooner rather than later. In closing, we all need to keep the negative aspects of our behavior and tendencies in check. No one deserves to be treated poorly due to our lack of emotional intelligence and self-management. It's as simple as the golden rule. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Well, this is our last episode for this season. Thank you so much for your company up to this point. I hope the content has been useful. And I'll see you next season, kicking off in June 2021 with some exciting topics starting with desire. Ciao!